because they say there's so many different restaurants that if you try to visit all the restaurants, you wouldn't live long enough because each year there's always a new restaurant.
Absolutely.
So I actually have a question. I'm very curious. Has there ever been a cuisine or a style of food that's outside of the norm for a culture that you're familiar with that was that surprised you, where you saw you're like, I don't know about that one. I don't know about the part of the animal that it comes from, or the color of it's weird. Is there an experience where you tried something that at first glance you're like, nope, and then you said, you know what, I'm gonna try it, and it actually ended up being a good experience or bad? I'm just curious.
Yes, yes, yes. I love food, as you know. So I eat out a lot, and I feel like Italians and Africans are similar because food is a big part of our culture. So I've had a few experiences. I can tell you one in particular. I have never had, up to a couple of years ago, I'd never had raw or eaten raw food,
Hmm.
fish, meat, right? And my older brother loves sushi, and I have friends that enjoy sushi. But I would go out with friends and hang out, but I was very specific. I would ask for cooked salmon, cooked food. But at this particular restaurant in Miami Beach, a bunch of my friends just ganged up and they're like, Victor, today is the day, right? And
Peer
you'll go,
pressure. Got
yeah,
it.
yeah, pressure. And I did that to a friend of mine a year before at his birthday party, a whole group of us. And this person had never really eaten, like, we never saw him eat salads. It was always the New York's lifestyle, you know, pizza, hot dogs. And it was a big joke among our group of friends. So I insisted at a big birthday party we all had, and you are going to eat some greens today. So they returned the favor, and it was hilarious because I'm at this restaurant. I'm having a lot of fun, and my girlfriend is there, a bunch of people, and I guess they had talked about this before, so the spotlight was on
Oh,
me, right?
they planned
They
this.
planned this, so now they're like, you're going to try raw food, and I always had this in my mind, like, how the heck do you eat raw food?
Did you want to run
I,
away?
and my brother-in-law would always make jokes about that, like how people eat raw stuff. This is crazy. So it took me about 10 minutes. When I realized I couldn't get out of it, I said, okay, we're going to do this. And I ate the fish. And initially, there was this sort of hesitancy. But after a few minutes, I got into the hang of it. Ate some more, waited an hour, no reaction, nothing
So you
happened.
went a little bit
Uh,
like, did you do like one of those like you're gonna nibble a corner?
yeah, yeah, yeah. I started a little bit at a time, like a little kid. So, but then I went once I sort of overcame that. It was just like, wow, this was actually really good. Now I get it, right? But it took. I'm the type of person. I'm a creature of habit, right? I do the same things a lot, and I do like to explore. But when it comes to something uncooked, that seemed to me a little bit more than just exploring. Right? It was just like this new territory of like maybe my life is in question here. So but I came through that, and that was really helpful. Now I've had one or two other situations where a friend of ours who's a professional boxer
Interesting.
was really interested in all types of exotic foods. And there's a restaurant that he goes to in the city. I didn't even know places like this existed.
Sounds like a Fear Factor like level.
Something on like that, right? And he would eat like live animals. I'm just saying. I mean, their pictures, their videos, it was insane. And I vowed. I said, well, this is where I draw the line. You're literally gonna have to put a gun to my head today to do any of that. I'm not going there. I'll do uncooked food any day of my life. But he loved exotic stuff.
Well, give me an example of something that was living.
They had like I think with snails,
Oh, okay.
right? And it was almost like insects
Yeah.
that were moving,
Yeah.
right? So when you see that, like, I mean, look, I've seen all sorts of things, right? But it takes a certain personality. This is the type of person that puts a snake around his neck
Yeah.
and walks in Times Square, right? But he's got a big following. I won't say his name, but he actually became world champion at one point,
Nice.
middleweight world champion. So, but he just had these that side of his personality of being on the edge a little bit with certain things, right?
Yeah.
But it was
Yeah.
no big deal to him. And I guess there's certain cultures where they will eat live insects. They will eat certain types of foods
Yeah.
that were still or reptiles that were alive. But I just thought that was too extreme. You know what I mean?
And the funny thing is, even growing up or being in the New York area where you have all kinds of cultures, there's still the overall American culture. And I feel like in those very hidden places, or like in your situation, someone that is more exotic with their diet than your average person. Um, I lost my train of thought, but I brought it up because um, it's interesting to me that, and I want to know your thoughts on it, that your perspective on food changes worldwide, and it's largely based off of culture. I mean, the funny thing is, I have a younger brother and sister that at one point, I'm pretty sure a lot of us went through this, but they didn't like specific shaped noodles. And it's the same thing, but the mind took over and said that's nasty or that's wrong, that's right. And it's interesting how um, embedded our perspective on something as simple as food is largely based off of our culture. When in other countries, you're lucky to get a snack of a snail, or you're lucky to get raw food, and it's considered like a delicacy, like that word that it's considered a delicacy. Now I feel like I'm programmed when I hear delicacy, I hesitate because I know that it's going to be an extreme difference between what I think is delicacy and someone else. What are your thoughts on that?
Absolutely no. You're 100% right. I feel like I because I've lived in Africa, right? I have seen things that are perfectly normal to me, whereas here it's abnormal to somebody else. Okay,
Yeah.
I'll give you some examples. Even just eating food with your hands, it's common in Africa. Put the plate there, you roll up your potatoes or your pounded yam, and you put it in the soup, and it's customary. You go to a restaurant, you see people eating with their hands, right? In America, in the Western society, you may see that occasionally. A lot of people are shy,
Mm-hmm.
right? I mean, if you see a whole chicken, you don't see people just dive in and start eating. So that's one thing. Another aspect of food in third world countries, people eat like fish, but they eat the head of the fish. Right? I
Yeah.
love to eat fish, so I go to restaurants and I order the whole fish.
So you'll eat the whole
I
fish.
yeah. So when I moved to Connecticut, the restaurant Barcelona, I would go there and I got to know them, and I would order that at least once or twice a week, and they would always offer to cut off the head. I said no, I want the whole thing.
Do they give you a weird face?
Yeah. So every time every time they prepared it, right, I could see people looking and just wondering, even the people I'm around, my girlfriend and people just watching, like, what are you doing? Right? I said, you don't understand. It doesn't taste the same to me. I like to see the whole thing. Right? So in Africa, that's customary, and it goes even further. The chicken. they will cook the chicken, the legs of the chicken, the feet of the chicken, the cow feet, right?
Uh-huh.
Oxtail. There's a lot of exotic preparation, but the food is absolutely delicious. It's absolutely delicious. So even till today, even if I make it myself, I will go to Whole Foods or supermarket. I'll get the whole fish, right? Put it in the oven for 30 minutes, and sometimes I just like looking at it. Like, all right, this thing is going down in a few minutes, but let's like take another look at it.
I'm actually fascinated because I am more on the side of if I had the choice, I would avoid fish in general. I grew up with
Really?
canned tuna, and in my mind, canned tuna was chicken, and so I was like, I don't like fish, and then they would say, I like, but you like tuna. I'm like, yeah, but that's not fish. Like for a long time when I was growing up.
Okay.
So it's interesting to me to see you like seconds away from drooling over the idea of an entire fish
Time
with
fish.
the head. And I'm like, okay, let me just, it's interesting because I wouldn't it be
I actually had
interesting?
one last night.
Yeah.
Believe it or not.
Yeah.
I went into this place and they had fish, and I specifically I asked for it. It's the same exact way.
Do they know you as the fish guy?
Yeah, and I started with the head, dissected it. So a little bit weird, but for some people,
Oh yeah, my wife loves fish, so we have this whole thing where it's like if we order one dish that can be made both ways, I'll get the more vegetarian or meat oriented one, like I guess on land versus, and she'll go off land, into the water
okay.
and shrimp.
So you,
So it's but I mean, I don't see her as a different person because she likes fish way better than me. Kind of tying it back to the whole tension of culture, race, and all that. It's funny, like you can be best friends with somebody, and there's like one thing where you're like, you know what? As long as you don't force me to eat it, we're good.
absolutely.
And if you're really good friends, that means that if they do force you to eat it, you're still friends, which is that funny dynamic because you totally they cornered you and they said eat this raw meat and you're like fine.
Let's just go for it. Let's get
Let's
it
go
out the
for it.
way. Yeah.
Yeah.
But you know what? It's interesting. So sometimes you have to go beyond what you're used to also grow, right?
Yes.
So based on your life, your culture, you're affected. Now, as a kid, I never liked the look or the sight of ketchup. I did not try ketchup until I was 21 years old.
What did you think it was blood?
It looked like blood. It just freaked me out, and I would stay away from it. Till today, there's certain
Wow.
foods that I don't touch.
You don't put ketchup on stuff?
So, but I did. This is what happened with the ketchup story. So, 21 years old, on a visit to New York City with 3 of my friends from college. We go to some restaurant, and it was a burger place. And I ordered, I believe it was a grilled chicken sandwich, but they included ketchup in it, right? I ate the sandwich, and halfway through eating this sandwich, I realized that ketchup, that included ketchup. And that's how I broke that mental sort of barrier.
So, do you remember eating it and thinking there's something different about this sandwich?
I did not realize it till halfway through. I remember just sort of like
hungry.
looking at it and seeing some of the red, and then I sort of opened up the sandwich and I realized, oh my goodness, I just ate ketchup. And then that started that process of me sort of accepting it. But till today, though, I still have, like, I won't eat pickles.
Wow, I love pickles.
Yeah, I see it, I just start taking it out right away. If they included it, olives, the same thing. One of my favorite places in town that I order a specific salad from, they add olives. The first thing I say to them when I order it, it's give me the tuna salad, no olives. All right? and we start there, and then I tell them anything else we need to add to it. But again, look, I spend time with people who love olives, so depending on who I'm with, I'll just give that to them, right? So, but like you, I feel like everybody has something unique about them, right?
Mhm.
And you love them for who they are. You will not be exactly like somebody else, nor should you be like somebody else,
Right, because then
right?
it'll be boring, right?
Yeah, they'll be boring. So everybody's just unique. Everyone's different. Um, so yeah, but it's an interesting question to look at because there's so much of that in life, and somebody's not weird because you don't understand that they're very particular in a certain area.
And it's interesting how you can have a perfectly normal relationship conversation and then find out that someone doesn't like ketchup, and now you can think, well, 5 minutes ago they were normal. Now you're weird.
Right now, now you're weird. Why don't you like ketchup, right?